Okay.
Oh, we're live. Cool. Just like that.
Broadcasting the boisterous part of the fastest game in the world. So strap on your lids and lace them up, Rook. You're listening to the BarnChirpers Hockey Podcast. Take a lap!
Oh,
Buddy! Your boys, they did it. They came through, man.
Clap it up, boys. Clap it up. You see, I'm wearing it again.
Wearing that red and white, baby.
Superstitions, sometimes they pay off. It didn't work for game 5.
That's all right.
Or
they needed
game 6, rather.
You know what's funny? And we're going to get to it. I called the wrong series to be a gentleman's sweep. Because the Devs technically did a gentleman's sweep.
Mm-hmm.
They went down 2-0, and then they won 3 out of 4.
Yes, they did. Indeed.
Akira Schmid gets 2 shutouts in this series.
2 shutties.
2 shutties. 4-0.
First season. Like, he's not a Rook, but like his first season of actual play. Can you believe that?
I wouldn't have seen that one coming. That's for sure. 100%.
You know, more on this as we get to it, but game 7, we're hopping right in because
let's get after it. We got a lot to talk about.
So as I told you, I wasn't watching. I stopped watching starting game 3, superstitions.
Yeah.
But you know, my wife was furious with me because I was sitting there watching the NHL app the entire time.
But you were watching the game.
Right.
I'm not going to watch the game, but I'm going to watch the app. Okay.
I'm going to watch the app. I'm not going to lay eyes on the boys. I'm not going to say anything about the reffing because obviously I didn't see it, so I can't speak to it.
Right. I only watched the highlight video, so I couldn't really tell you either.
Fan bases tend to point at refs, and
I mean, and to that point, like, you know, I definitely, having had watched a good chunk, I would say, honestly, out of all the series, all the games, most of them went to 6 at least. So, like, I would say I watched about 60% of the entirety of round 1. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And while there was some questionable calls by the refs, I didn't see anything that was like way over the top. Like, right. Wow, they missed that really bad, or they jacked it up. Like, whoever was home, automatically it was refs, you suck. Like, They weren't actually that bad from what I saw. Yeah. There was definitely some missed calls, but I feel they definitely made up for it, essentially. Like, they didn't call the same penalty on the other team. Mm-hmm. They really, I feel it was pretty 50-50, honestly. The only series that was super, super heavily penalized, honestly, was like Carolina and New York Islanders. It seemed like, Stars and Wild had a lot of penalties too, but we'll get into all that. But the point of that, like, yeah, I think fan bases are going to be biased no matter what, to whatever squad they're on. But again, it's a thing in sports. Like, if the only thing you have to blame for your team losing is the refs or the umpire or whatever, and whatever sport we're talking about, your team just didn't get the job done.
Didn't get it done.
So honestly, shut the up.
Yeah. So that point, the reason I bring that up is, you know, the first thing I said in the text thread yesterday before the game was no stupid penalties, because in the games that the Devs lost, that was the thing. Like, right. Dumb penalties and getting murdered on the penalty kill. Yep. There was two back-to-back ones at the end of the first where ball goes out, and actually before that, Sivo goes to the box. They come out even strength, and immediately ball goes to the box. It's like, I was piss scared there, because, like I said, Creeder was killing us all series.
Yeah, he was.
So we get into the second, we kill off both two very big penalty kills. So basically 4 minutes, a man down, and they kill them both. So I'm starting to feel good. I'm like, okay, boys can do this. And then we put one on the board. Mike McLeod puts one on the board in the second.
I was. I mean,
short-handed, I believe.
Yeah, that was the shorty set up by Palat. Yeah, it was in a must. Obviously, Game 7 is a must-win game. Naturally, John Madden here as always. It was awesome to see. I mean, not only your boys pull it out in Game 7, but guys stepping up.
Yes,
that haven't shown up the entire series. Really, I know McLeod. I think he had a assist in one of the whatever. I know I've heard his name in the stats before this series, but I mean, Palat, McLeod, Nico, Siegs, all the guys start showing up when it really matters, and that's what you get paid the money for. I'm still waiting on Meyer to get on the board. He has shots. He hasn't broken through yet, so I question that a little bit.
It's weird, right? But he's got to keep shooting. He's got to keep shooting is the thing, and that's what he did for us this year. Besides being a presence, because he was a menace to the Rags. But
right.
We brought
Arikala too. Arikala showing up big time.
That was the next name I was gonna, because there goes my Hala. Watch him as he goes. Unsung hero of the entire series. That dude showed up with his skates on Game 1, even as they're getting rocked. Game 2, dude was point central. He was working hard, and he was a guy over the course of the season, you kind of forget about him. You'd see his name occasionally, a couple goals here and there, a couple assists, and you didn't really see him on the ice. There was nothing to grab onto. What is this guy?
Right.
He showed up exactly when we needed him. We needed that veteran leadership. We needed somebody. I thought it was going to be Palat.
Right.
But no,
that would have been a pretty good guess. So, I mean, with that, talking about Meyer, so he's second in shots with 27 behind the one and only Jack Hughes. And he also is second in penalty minutes with 20 behind Ball. Yeah. So that's a problem. That's an issue, buddy. Yeah. We need to figure that out. Stay out of the box. Yeah. But I think you probably, this is really his first real playoff experience. I think he had a handful of games with the Sharks when they had their run a couple of years ago, but nothing significant really. So I think he probably will have his skates underneath him heading into round 2. But the other interesting stat is Akira Schmid, again, 2 shutties in this series. He leads all goaltenders.
Yes.
Straight goals against average, save percentage, shutouts. So he's I think he's here to stay, hopefully.
Absolutely. And the good thing is, we've got VTech if we need him. You know what I mean? If something happens and we roll into the next round, and more on this as it comes.
Yeah. Vanny he's a solid goaltender. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just because he lost those first 2 games, not throwing him totally under the bus. This guy's a terrible goaltender. He's not. He's a good goalie. No. He was good all year. It just so happens it just wasn't. Those 2 nights just weren't his night, and you just get done playing. I have the playoff stats up right now, so I don't have the regular season stats. But let's go on a limb and say he probably started 30 plus games.
Yep.
Right. So you played almost half the season already, and now you're playing. So it's a lot, man. It's a lot.
And to that point, I know we don't want to spend too much time on this because this is more Game 7 centric, but 30 wins for my man, Vitek Vanacek. Only one other goalie in Jersey history did that.
I wonder who that might be. Could it be the guy, the jersey behind the sweater there behind you? I believe it could be.
It's a very short list, 2 names.
It's good company to be in.
He got us there, and I'll be forever thankful for that. And then to see Schmid show up the way he has been great. And this is the thing about the internet and fans, and I'm watching Rags fans on Reddit and Twitter try to dismiss what Schmid's doing. Oh, he's not even that good of a goalie. Well, he's beating you.
Yeah, he just beat you. So, and to that point, is this and again, I think whether we've talked about it on this very show or in between the group chat or whatever, but I think it was on our first episode. But anyway, I talked about the trade deadline when the Rangers made those moves and they got Tarasenko and then they went out and got Patty Kane. And I said, and I mentioned this in the group chat or in this episode, like, oh man, the Rangers came to play. Like, here they go. Mm-hmm. And then I also, last week on the show, I also said, I was kind of chirping of Rangers fans like, oh, Vladimir Tarasenko, Patty Kane, blah, blah, blah. And I mean that still because they didn't do anything really in this series. Chris Kreider had the most points with 9 points, 6 goals, 3 assists. Vladimir Tarasenko, 3 goals, 1 assist. Patrick Kane, 1 goal, 5 assists. Like, those aren't superstar numbers.
No, man.
Those aren't superstar. Oh, Mika Zibanejad, 1 goal, 3 assists.
Yeah, man. Nothing. It got shut down.
And the big one that everybody was waiting for and always talks about, the bread man. 2 points, 2 assists.
Nothing.
So my whole point of that is like, when I made that chirp last week, I mean it. Like, Patty Kane is not, while he's still young, he's not the Patrick Kane of the Dynasty Blackhawks. He's like, you literally just surrounded him with key players and a team that could win and could have gone all the way to the cup, could have possibly have won it, but they're not that team. Right. Mm-hmm. And that showed through. And not to mention the same thing, obviously we're playing what ifs. If Shesterkin was the Shesterkin of last year, the Devils probably would not have got out of this. Mm-hmm. And that's just being honest, because Shesterkin was totally locked down last year. Yeah. But this year, coming into the playoffs, he was just kind of pedestrian. So point is, Devils did win and they advanced. We spent a lot of time on this, but it is your team. I'm not mad about it at all. But I'm just saying, hell yeah to the Devs, man. Like I was excited to watch that highlight video this morning and send you the LFG this morning. So I love it. I love it. And before we even move on, I love this playoffs right now because not only is the defending champions knocked out of the playoffs.
Yes.
The previous defending champions are knocked out of the playoffs.
Yes.
And you know what's funny, Justin? The only remaining team in the playoffs that has won a cup is the Carolina Hurricanes in 2006.
Wow.
Justin.
Wow.
So almost 20 years ago, the Carolina Hurricanes won the cup. And I think that is awesome for the game of hockey that we're going to get a new champion, number one. Number two, there's new blood in this playoffs. Mm-hmm. There's new blood moving on in round 2, and we love that. I love that.
Oh, I do too. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and we'll get into this, once we get to predictions, but so the only 2 teams wow. Like, okay, never mind. Okay. No, I'm geeked up. Last thing I'll say before we move on to the next game 7. I'm not sure what the New Jersey Devils did to earn the disrespect of like everybody. But national media had been blowing the Rangers for the entire series.
Naturally, yeah.
And I don't know what the deal is, why they were so disrespected, but suck on it.
Honestly.
Made in Jersey. The boys went in and did the damn thing. People forgot that they were the 3rd best team in the NHL this year.
And they won at home too.
Yes.
Even better. They're the only team to close out a series at home.
So to that point, do you want to move on to that next one?
You're damn right I do.
Because how excited are we for this one?
Dude, I am so glad that I busted my bracket. I am so glad the boys showed up. I am so glad that they bounced the Colorado Avalanche. Honestly, this team, honestly, I'm pumping their gas hard right now, but they deserve it. They scored first in all 7 games.
Look at them go.
They scored first. They're the first team to ever do that, to ever score in the first. If originally it was the first team to ever score in their first 4 playoff games. Well, now they've scored in the first 7 playoff games they've ever had.
Wow, that's big brain numbers.
That's gonna be a huge thing for anybody. If there's ever, I'm sure there's gonna be another expansion team at some point, but like that's record breaking across all sports. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like there's gonna be other expansion teams that happen. You know what I mean? In other leagues. So, but the boys showed up, man. In Colorado's barn, they showed up. And Grubauer, God bless America. That dude was lights out this whole entire series. Lights out. Like he earned his, I think, $56 million contract he just signed. Like, dude, he earned that. And the boys showed up for him, really. I mean, before I go on to my other pumping their gas, I will say that I'm a little bit nervous for them to face Dallas because the Kraken needs some physicality. They don't really have a lot of hits going on. Like they don't really they don't get pushed around, so to speak, but they're not like throwing bone crunching hits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like even towards the end of that third period in game 7 against the Avs, they were hitting, but they weren't like attacking the body, right? They weren't like, hey, we're ahead and we're going to hurt you. You know what I mean? They don't really have enough guys to do that. I mean, Elysiak is their biggest hitter.
Yeah.
There's not really anybody else that is doing that. So I'm a little bit worried to have them go against Dallas, but maybe I think the Kraken are just greasy enough to get it done, to show up again. But yeah, man, from the absolute bottom of my heart to any Avs fans listening, and especially to you, Cale Makar, I got 2 words for you. Suck it. It feels so good. I literally got tears in my eyes when that game ended. I was like, no effing way. No effing way. This is really going to happen, because Colorado was buzzing the last couple minutes. They pulled Gorgiev with like 4 minutes left, and they were buzzing. But Grubauer, man, he was insane. Absolutely insane. I actually hope that just having the one day off and they're playing tonight, Monday, because that's essentially what they've done this whole first round. I hope that continues, since they're not really like getting a real rest, you know? But yeah, dude, the Kraken, dude, the Kraken, you know,
what a difference, a few years makes. Cause I was frustrated when Vegas essentially did the same thing.
Right.
Here's the Seattle Kraken coming along and just playing really good hockey. And
that's it. Just good hockey.
That's all you got to do. Right.
So yeah, I mean, and I'm looking at the stats right now for the Seattle Kraken. There is only let's see, one, two. Okay, actually, let me take that back. I was going to say there isn't. Sorry, this is a dead air. 1 second. I was going to make a note of goals, but I'm actually going to look at points for the roster that played. There is only 2 guys on this squad that did not have a point in this series: Ryan Donato and Jesper Froden. Everybody else had at least 1 point in this series.
That's what you got to do.
And as we go through this, I'll end up looking at the rest of the squads too. I'm pretty sure that's not across the board for this playoffs.
No, even the dead. Like, I think Meyer may have gotten an assist. I know Nico got a couple assists. Jesper Bratt finally got one last night with the empty netter.
But yeah, I mean, just from top to bottom, everybody chipped in, with McCann being out, Daniel Sprong got more ice time, which he's a clutch player. He was doing it when he played for the Capitals. He was only getting, a few minutes of ice time, but on those minutes that he gets, he makes good of it. Whether he block shot, gets an assist, scores a goal. He's clutch. That dude's clutch. So I'm super happy for the Kraken. Like I said, I'm glad that I didn't, or that my bracket got busted because I picked the Avs in 6. I wasn't expecting to see this squad show up like they did, but I'm so happy that they did. I'm so happy that I was wrong to that. We'll get to that when we make our predictions. But Cracker in round 2. I'm hyped for it. It's awesome. They're, like I said, when they came into the league, I support them. I will always be a Caps fan, but the Kraker, my West Coast team, so I'm pulling for them. And I mean, I'd love to see the Devs continue to go far too, because they're your boys. And back in the day, I was a Devs fan too.
So from one, we're excited about one team winning, and another that we're more excited about another team losing. How did this happen, Joe? Florida. I mean, look, Florida's been playing playoff hockey for a while because they had to get
about a month and a half. They've been playing playoff hockey,
and they put in Officer Bob.
They did
somehow.
Well, and two out of those games, he only let in 3 goals. So,
well under average.
Well under average. Man, it is amazing. I mean, literally, Boston blew it multiple times. 3 times they blew it. The biggest one, the biggest one to me was in Game 5 in overtime. Ullmark, his play with the puck. He goes behind the net. I don't know if he was trying to shoot it, what he was trying to do, but he got rid of the puck. Florida got it to Kachuk. Game over, right? That play in Game 5 was the nail in the coffin. That was honestly the day that they lost the series.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't recover. They went down to Florida. They lost again. They came home for 7, and they lost again. And everybody's confidence seemed to be gone, even though in Game 7 they made a comeback and went up 3-2, and then they blew it in the final minute.
Looking
like it's so crazy to me. And there's kind of 2 notes here on this rant, I think. The first rant being that, and we talked about this last week about switching tendies, and you got to go with the guy that's hot in the playoffs. Yep. Yeah, that's the steadfast rule. But you know what? Boston, what got you to the President's Trophy and records being broken? You alternated tendies all year long. Yep. And if you were going to go to Swayman in Game 7 anyway, which is what you did, why didn't you just trade off?
Yeah.
Had you trade? Obviously, we're playing a what-if game, but to me, in my eyes, Ullmark was tired, even though he was playing really, really good, honestly, besides that flub and then the loss in Game 6. He didn't necessarily play bad, but the biggest thing I'm getting to is, like, I feel he played so many games in a row with not a lot of days off in between. I feel like he was tired. Honestly, he was tired. So his mental wasn't there, probably. That's number one. I mean, same thing. Swayman played really good. Besides that first goal in Game 7, Montour with that backhand shot. I put a pin in this for backhands. If you got to write a note down, I want to come back to backhand shots. But other than that, like, he played pretty well. The second goal that Florida got in Game 7 there, he was screened. So, I mean, you can't really do anything about that. And then the game winner, like, same thing. It was just a screenshot, I think it doesn't matter. They lost anyway. But my other point of this, I am fully in support of how this game has evolved. I love that there's so many superstars now. The game is faster. We talked about this on whatever show. It's probably Gear Freaks or Grease Pole, one of the two. But there's so many players now. You can look back when we were growing up, and yeah, you could remember players' names, but you only had maybe like one or two guys on a team that were really, really good. And then everybody else is kind of like depth, or they played their part, right?
Yep.
Nowadays, there are full teams of like really good players. You got superstar players, really good players, and then you have like your third tier guys that are still pretty good and would dance and skate circles around players 10 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all in support of that. My gripe is this of goaltenders. You are a goaltender. You are not a position player. You are not a skill guy. Stop trying to puck handle. Stop trying to be fancy with the puck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, stop. Your job when it gets dumped in, your job is to stop that puck from ringing around the boards and having the other team's defense get it. Your job is to stop that puck and get it to your guy. It's not to make a fancy play. It's not to try to shoot a goal right down the ice. It's not to make a stretch pass. No, dickhead. You're there to get the puck to your guy. And Ullmark did not do that. And he cost the entire series for the Boston Bruins. I'll say it right here. You heard it here first. Because he cost that game in Game 5.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what happened? Then they lost the series.
Meltdown.
That was a pivotal point in that series. They could have closed it out. Oh, again, we're playing the what-if game. Mm-hmm. Would they have won in that overtime game? We'll never know.
We'll never know.
But that play definitely, obviously, screwed it up for them. Mm-hmm. So I'm just my thing is goalies stop trying to be a position player. Again, I'm all for goalies being more athletic now and having more skill now, but that's not your job. Your job is to keep the puck out of the net.
Yep.
And for the guy that's going to win the Vezina this year,
to be out.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah,
it's
man.
embarrassing. But you're right. Florida's been playing playoff hockey for a month and a half now. So good on them. You know what I mean? Didn't see that coming.
Not at all. Not at all.
I got that bracket got busted too. So.
Yeah. And again, like it's more about, it's fuck the bees in this household, but like,
yeah, normally I'd say that too. I had money on it though. So I lost $50, but it's okay. It's okay. Whatever.
But, we saw the Panthers live against the Preds. We saw them play and it was not good. Like it was, and a lot of Bob, but
yeah, for sure.
Just not good hockey.
Not good hockey at all. Yeah, and it's crazy to see that evolution from February till now of the Florida Panthers. I don't know what kicked in because they didn't really – I'm blanking right now off the top of my head, but I don't think they made any moves at the deadline. They didn't bring anybody in.
You know what? I think you're right.
That I remember.
Nothing major anyway. Nothing, because if it was major, it would have come to our attention immediately.
I feel like – I'm pretty positive that the only move was bringing up Alex Lyon at the end of the season there.
Yeah.
I don't think they made any moves.
I feel like there was an injury in there somewhere. Maybe somebody came back to the ice. I mean, Duclair, but like it was somebody else. I know Duclair came back, but there was somebody else too.
Yeah. I mean, you can't – I mean, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Matty Tkachuk. And I know I called him Shit Chuck last week. Yeah. And I still feel that way about Matt Tkachuk because he is a shithead for sure. But he's also a really skilled player and gets underneath your skin. And also he's going to be the right place, the right time to score that goal. Mm-hmm. He did it in every single game that the Florida Panthers won. He was the guy either with some type of setup, with the assist, with the goal, or he made some type of play that led to that. He's a very, very good player. You can't take that away from him. The one gripe that I have with Tkachuk, and I guess with how everybody kind of blows the Tkachuk brothers, right?
Right.
Brady actually drops the gloves and fights. Tkachuk didn't see him drop any gloves this series, though he got under. He did a lot of shitty things, but he never dropped the gloves. Matter of fact, I couldn't tell you the last time I've seen him drop the gloves. So. I'm not taking anything really away from his skill. He's a great player, like I said, but he kind of seems phony tough to me right now. Drop the gloves.
I mean, especially you're going into the second round, and we'll come up on them here again in a second. Do you
sure.
want to move on into the second round here, Joe?
Yeah. I mean, I think we covered all the. Well, we should talk about the other series because we left on Game 6, Toronto and Tampa.
Yeah. Well, history, right?
History. The Toronto Maple Leafs bounced the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Wow.
In Tampa Bay. Or excuse me, that was it. Yeah. It was in Tampa Bay. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was in Tampa because Game 6. Yeah.
Yep. And because Adam Copeland and Jay Rizzo were there.
Yeah. In Tampa Bay, in overtime, John Tavares, the Toronto kid, scores the OT winner. I don't even care about the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't necessarily hate them. I don't love them. Don't give a crap about them. Seeing them win hyped me up. I was like, I love an underdog story, you know? They got the monkey off their back, and I love that, honestly. And I hate Tampa Bay, so
that's the thing. I'm done with the Tampa. I never liked the fact that Tampa, Florida had a hockey team to begin with, and now they're good. Get out of here.
And when the playoffs are over, we'll talk about my barn series. When we'll talk about Tampa. But yeah, I don't like Tampa, so I was hyped that the Maple Leafs bounced them. And I also love that they healthy scratched Michael Bunting. Yeah. They kept Nyes in, and your boy Nyes came through this whole series. Like, that was a good ad.
Yeah.
Whoever Sheldon Keefe, because Bunting didn't do anything for you, and this Nyes kid came out of nowhere. So I love that. And here's a fun stat for you, Justin. So now that Toronto has broken that curse, okay. So Toronto breaks their curse. Boston, woof. That's going to go down in history as one of the worst sports defeats ever, or blowing it ever. The Minnesota Wild are now the longest team. They have a streak. They're the longest streak. 8th straight playoff series loss. First round exits.
Yikes. And I don't want to dwell on it, but I do want to say, man, what a good hockey team. Couldn't have happened to a better team. Like, unreal.
Yes. So, but yeah, man, I'm hyped that the Leafs got through. And it's crazy that we mentioned when we did our round 1 predictions, like, a lot would have to go right for Toronto. Yeah. Well, guess what freaking happened?
It did.
Toronto wins and Florida wins. Like, I don't remember the exact quote right now. We're like, yeah, Florida's probably not going to beat Boston.
Yeah. It was very much that. Even after game one, I think we all were like, it's not going to happen. I mean, now I will say this, Corey on both Gear Freaks and Grease Poll has been saying, historically this happens. I don't think the Bees get bounced in the first round, but they won't go all the way.
Yeah, I mean, the President's Trophy hasn't won since Chicago Blackhawks in 2012. 2012, I believe. 2012 or 2014. But it's the Chicago Blackhawks. Every other President's Trophy team has gotten bounced.
I wish I would have listened to that episode just so we could record how we each did. Maybe, maybe I should have done that.
That's all right.
Research. Who does that? Not me.
Yeah. That's fine.
I mean, again, we've made mention before we hop into the second round here. Like, for you and I, for sure, our brackets are busted.
Yes, big time. But I don't even care.
Me neither. It's been.
I mean, I care a little bit. I care a little bit about Boston.
Because money.
Because money. But I'm so glad that the Kraken beat the Avs. I don't even care. So
I'm pretty sure we all had
2013 Chicago Blackhawks were the last President's Trophy to win the cup.
I think we all had, you had Florida and Boston in a gentleman's sweep, I believe.
I did 4-1 Boston. Yes.
And then I think both Corey and I had Boston in 6. I think, but don't quote me on that. Whatever it is, we were all wrong. So
yeah, we were literally all wrong. So whatever it is, I know I have I took a screenshot of it. just have to scroll back. Here we go. So I picked Avs in 6, Stars in 7, Vegas in 7, LA in 7, Boston in 5, Leafs in 7, Isles in 6, Devs in 7. So I literally got one right. I got the Devs right.
Yes.
I got the Leafs pick correct, but not in 7. I got Vegas correct, not in 7. I got Stars correct, not in 7. So, whatever. It's fine.
So let's jump into this second
round.
Let's
do this.
We got the Oil taking on the Vegas Golden Knights, and another tough draw for Edmonton. Like another high octane offense.
They're gonna have to fight to if they want to get to the conference final again. But yeah, I don't know where this one goes, honestly, because really, I feel like the high-powered offenses on both sides are going to kind of cancel each other out. Like, there's definitely going to be a lot of goals.
Yes.
Not rocket science here. It's going to come down. It's going to come down to the goaltenders. What Stuart Skinner are we going to get?
Yeah.
And what Laurent Brosson are we going to get? Because while Brosson did well in the first round, but was he really challenged by the Winnipeg Jets?
Clearly not.
Not really. I mean, that first game, 5 goals. Game 4 where they went to OT, I guess. But Edmonton is gonna score.
Yes.
If you want to bet money on anything, Edmonton is gonna score.
Bet the over.
Bet the over, because they're definitely gonna score. And if you go to the box, they're gonna score in the power play.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where to go with this one. And again, I think that's just going to cancel each other out. Same thing with Vegas. While Vegas was one of the last teams in power play conversions, power play percentages, but they also didn't really get a lot of power play minutes. So that's kind of what made them be on the bottom. So if they get more calls, they get more opportunities, maybe they score more. Again, that's a what if thing. But definitely bet the over here. I don't know which way to go. I really don't know. Honestly, my gut is saying Edmonton, because I just I bet against them against LA, and obviously we know how that turned out. You really how can you bet against Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl? Originally I had obviously LA moving on, and I had them beating Vegas 4-1 if it was LA.
Wow.
I know. So I do feel like, I I picked this a lot, 7, but I don't see any other way that this doesn't go 7. Really. I don't see it. I don't really see it finishing before that. So I'm just going to go with my gut. I'm going to say Edmonton in 7.
So just before I launch into my actual pick, Corey told us he's got Vegas over Edmonton in 7.
Oof.
So
yeah, it could be.
So the thing is, you kind of alluded to this, but with Edmonton, I feel like I'll believe it when I see it.
True.
Kind of like with Toronto, I'll believe it when I see it. So my gut immediately is saying Vegas, and that's not based on anything I've seen on the ice.
Yeah, I get that. But I kind of feel that same way about Vegas too, because I feel like, this team is not the same team that was the expansion team that went to the Stanley Cup final, Yeah. But I guess there's a couple guys still on that core, Mark Stone, Pietrangelo. So, yeah, I don't know, but it's a toss-up for me, honestly.
It's also hard to say because Vegas put down Winnipeg in 5, so not enough of a sample size to kind of tell.
And they didn't get challenged. Like there was really no challenge. You know what I mean? So it'll be against Edmonton. Like Edmonton's flying right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just went 6 with LA. So like they're on top of their game, I think, as best as that could be. But I do understand what you're saying, and I feel that same way. I'll believe it when I see it, because again, they could be out of a game 5-0, but 10 minutes later they could be up 7-5.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
So
especially here, like especially against Vegas. God bless it. I don't
go with
know.
your gut.
My gut sounds wrong. Vegas in 6.
Okay.
My gut sounds wrong. Like I don't like that. Vegas in 6 seems it just doesn't seem likely. And I think I'm putting too much weight on I'll believe it when I see it with Edmonton.
Okay.
I think that's taking a game away from them. And I don't know if that's fair. I think I'll go with my gut with Vegas, but say 7.
Okay.
Vegas
All
and
right.
7.
Vegas and 7.
I don't like it, but
I guess we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
Good thing there's no money on it.
That's true too. It's just internet fame, internet like.
Right. I was right. Just bragging rights.
Bragging rights. Let's move on to the important one. The one that we talked a little bit about this. It's the Kraken and the Stars. Man,
buddy. And so your boy happened to look at a little betting this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And the Kraken are plus 2,000 to win the cup.
Wow.
So I put a few bones down on that.
Those are good odds.
So yeah. But I also have money on Dallas to win the cup too.
That's right. I knew that.
Yeah. So essentially, my goal here would to be, obviously one of them is not going to get to the cup. If one of them does, preferably the former, then I will still make a little bit of profit from that Boston loss and the Dallas loss. So, oh man, I mean, Dallas was they're top notch on the power play. But again, Seattle did pretty well staying out of the box against Colorado. So if they can do that, that'll be key. Play 5-on-5, or if they can get on the power play. But they didn't. I don't have this percentage on me right now because my internet is being fun. But point is, like I said, they got to lay in the body. Seattle has got to lay in some hits. They have to be on top of Dallas because, again, we're talking about high-powered offenses. Dallas is a high-powered offense.
Yep.
I mean, that first line, I haven't looked at the injury report. Don't know if Pavelski's going to play. I hope he does. But that first line of Hintz, Robertson, Pavelski, dude, they were lights out all year. I had Hintz and Robertson on fantasy pucks. Like, they got me a lot of points. So I hope Grubauer is still on his game. I'm saying a lot of hopes right now. I don't know how to call this one because didn't even think Seattle would be here.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go first thought to my mind is Seattle in 7.
That's what Corey has too. Seattle over Dallas in 7. And that's my inclination too.
But Otter is so hot. He's so hot right now.
I know.
Speaking of shutties in the playoffs, he got a 4-0 to put the Wild out.
So
yeah,
the way I look at it is Seattle's a better version of Minnesota. Like, they play similarly, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Tight hockey, like just good hockey, I think I'm leading a little with my heart.
I am too, for sure.
Which could, end up, biting. But again, what is it? Like, we got it wrong on the internet. No big deal.
Yeah, it's fine.
And Minnesota played Dallas well until game 5, really. Like,
right.
Exactly. So I feel like if, like you said, if they can stay out of the box, I don't know what's going on with Ellie Tolvanen, but like when he went over, like I had him last season in fantasy pucks because he was a hitter. He was a hitting forward. I was like, oh, Lord, this is a guy I want to keep. And that's why I kept going back to him this year. But he didn't do that. He wasn't very physical.
He wasn't.
He's been a point getter. So it's like, all right, well, where's that guy? Where's the guy from last season? Let's see him this next go around. But leading with my heart, I'm going to Seattle in 7.
Yeah,
all 3 of us same.
I mean, I'm definitely leading with my heart. Like I would love to see that. You know, the problem is going to be that Ottinger is really dialed in right now. So if they can get some shots on him, you know. But like you said, I mean, Minnesota was doing well through those first handful of games, then they just kind of, you know, didn't show up after that. So
lost the steam.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Dumb penalties. Dumb penalties.
Dumb penalties. Stay out of the box, man.
Out of the box in Seattle, like you mentioned, pretty good at doing that. Let's go on over to the East and the matchup we didn't think was possible.
Literally, both teams that didn't think they were going to be there. So, buddy, one take would be that Toronto has gotten over the hump, and now they're just lights out moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
They're a solid team. They have a lot of depth. They got guys to score when they need it. They literally beat Tampa Bay in their barn 3 games in overtime.
Yeah.
You know? But Florida has those guys too. Montour, Listo Ryan, you know what I'm talking about. Sam Bennett, Kachuk, obviously. So I'm going to go with Toronto, though. I'd love to see just continue that underdog story. I think that's probably, I'm going to say Toronto in 6. I'm just going with it. I'm not thinking about it too much.
So Corey has Toronto in 5.
I think that's really quick.
That's my thought, is that, say whatever you want about Florida, they just beat the Bees. Like,
yeah, exactly.
That can't be discounted.
Yeah, I think that because again, with this, while I am picking the Leafs, but I feel like if they get that series lead into a elimination game, they've only managed to close it out one time out of all these years. Like the curse is still kind of like a cloud hanging out. Like, you know, if we're talking about days of the week, right? Let's say Toronto getting over the hump, right? They broke the curse. So now they're on like Saturday, but that cloud is still back here on like Wednesday. It's still, you can still see it, right? That elimination game curse is still, a couple days away. You still have to continue to get further away from it. So I think that's why I said 6. Like if they get to, elimination game 5, they still got to be able to close it out. So that's my take.
And what are we looking at here? Like, obviously, Bob gets them into this round. We're looking at Sammy versus Bob. Like, we could be looking at
we could be looking at 10-9 games.
Yes, like we could be looking at 10-9 games, and then we could be looking at shutouts for Toronto in the next. It could go anyway.
Could be 1-0 overtime win.
Man, it's hard to go against Toronto after getting over the hump. And I believe that's it. What we said on that first episode, I believe, was if Toronto's best chance is Boston losing.
Yep.
Boston lost. So
Boston lost.
So I feel like 5 seems too quick. I don't know if I agree with Corey there. My inclination is Toronto in 6, and instead of overly thinking about it, and one other thing I want to say is Luke Shen finally showed up. Well, I should say Luke Shen actually finally getting ice time and showing up.
There you go.
When I had him, he kept riding pine. He kept getting healthy scratched. I'm like, what is this? Why?
Yeah, for a guy that you brought over, and you're scratching him. Like, that's interesting.
Put him in rotation, please. I'd like to keep him.
I want to. Well, actually, I'll do this when we're done with the predicts.
Okay. We should have wrote these down.
I mean, I put mine in a note.
I should have done that with mine. But New Jersey versus Carolina. And again, I'm, other than V, I'm the only person with skin in the game still. So it's hard for me to remove myself from that. So
pick your boys, man.
I'm gonna. And honestly, if the reason I picked the Isles over the Canes in the first round was depletion. I thought for sure like the injuries were just they just weren't gonna be able to keep up. Right. Somehow they showed up and they put the Isles to bed in 6. I don't think that's happening with us. We don't have any injuries. They have 7 games worth of experience. We definitely had the tougher matchup with the Rags.
For sure.
It's all going to come down to how prepared are the boys. Does Lindy got them ready to go? Game 1's tomorrow. I'm going with the boys. I'm sticking with the Devs. I'm going to go 6.
If they, if they pepper the net, if they just stop being pretty, don't be pretty, just pepper the net. Like, you're going to get some goals for sure, because Carolina didn't score a lot of goals in that series with the Islanders. Maybe that was because the Islanders are such a defensive team. I feel like it's just Carolina doesn't actually have the power right now.
Right.
They don't have their guys. So they're kind of just working. They won the series on garbage goals, on scrappy goals, which is what you have to do. And sorry to pause because I just had this thought. The Kraken and the Leafs, really, honestly, everybody that advanced, this is kind of a thing. To win a cup, you got to get some lucky bounces. You got to get some lucky calls. You got to have some puck luck, and you have to be good. And that has definitely been a constant thing of this first round thus far. Florida had a lot of it, and they moved on. So in this case too, Carolina had some puck luck against the Isles. So they have that going for them, but I really don't. Ronta played the majority of that first round. Mm-hmm. Freddie came in for the last game. I don't know that he's dialed in from one game. So my advice, New Jersey, if you're listening, pepper the net, shoot the puck. I got to go with the boys though too, because I love an underdog story. So, and again, I know they only finished 1 point out of first from the Met, or I guess 2 technically to win the Met, but so they're not really an underdog, but they're such a young team and they're not supposed to be here. So I love an underdog story. But I feel like I always pick 7s. I just go with 7. I just love game 7s and I love hockey so much. Let's get so many games. I think the boys, I'm going to go with the Devils as well. I feel like it's going to be the Devs in 6.
The thing I would mention to kind of tag onto your point, what was the 2 things I said? Stay out of the box, shoot the fucking puck.
Yep.
And that's what they did, and they beat Shesterkin. And sure, he's not Shesterkin from last year, but he's still Igor Shesterkin. And when he was locked in this series, he was locked in.
He's still a Vezina Trophy winner.
It's not, no offense to Ranta or Freddie, they are not Shesterkin.
No. Even as a matter of fact, Freddie used to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs, so we know how that turned out.
Mm-hmm. So
he was there for a couple of them.
Shoot the puck, shoot the puck, shoot the puck. If Timo, he came back, he didn't see any more ice time, so I'm guessing he cleared concussion protocol. That
was a nasty hit by Trouba.
It was nasty. It was clean, but it was nasty.
Yeah, it was close. Clean. It was close. It was a little high, shoulder on the head.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know. You call it that. You can't. What can you say? We could argue it all day, but this is the series where we need to see Timo, because they're depleted, and he needs to be big. He needs to push people around, shoot the fucking puck.
They brought him in Make it worth it.
Make it worth it. And
we're taking a chance on you.
And look, I definitely think, like I said, Devs in 6. You know, and I don't want to back down from that, but I also want to say we weren't even supposed to be here, and we just took down the Rags. So
same with the Crack. Not supposed to be here, and they beat the defending champs in their own barn.
And look at this. Corey has jersey over Carolina in 6-2. So
look at that. Cool. All right.
What did you all be wrong?
Who knows, man? Who knows? What did you say for the oil and you said Vegas, right?
I said Vegas in 7.
Vegas in 7. I'm writing it down for you, buddy.
Oh.
You said Kraken in 7?
Yes.
And you said Leafs?
In 6.
Leafs in 6. Okay. Got it for you.
There we go. So this way we can actually keep track of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe
but yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I mean, round 2 started already. Florida and Toronto are playing right now. So,
wow. Well, and we'll leave it on this. Joe, like this has already been such a great year to get like back into hockey the way I have, and this playoffs has been wonderful. And I've watched more hockey this year than I have since 2003 at least.
Yeah.
And then great. I was just watching the Devs. Like I would just watch whatever Devs game I could get. Now I'm watching. I've seen so much Minnesota Wild. I've seen the Kraken a whole bunch. I've seen I've seen most of the league play hockey, and I'm just excited. No matter how the playoffs shake out at this point, I'm one of those guys. Obviously, until the Devs are done,
of course. Yeah. Of course.
It's been outstanding so far this year.
Yeah, the only, obviously with my schedule, staying up late to watch the games, I'm not doing. So, I mean, the important ones I record and watch them back, skip through the commercials and all that. But mostly I get up in the morning. I don't look at scores. I don't look at text messages because I know we have our group chat and whatnot. And I just go, when I'm sitting down eating breakfast, I watch the highlight videos, which are 8-9 minute videos to, get the highlights of the game to essentially watch it without watching the full 3 hours or whatever. And even that's still, I love doing that, especially for this playoffs because it's been just bonkers. Besides Vegas and Winnipeg in the first round, every series was bonkers. Like, what is happening? So yeah, I mean, round 2 is sure to do the same. Again, tonight is first leg, Florida and Toronto, and Seattle and Dallas will play tonight too. So, oh boy, I don't know if we'll be back. Well, I mean, I know we'll be back for sure next week. If we'll be back before then, who knows? Everybody, whatever you're listening to, we'll see. We'll see what happens and what have you. But Justin, you got anything else?
No, that's it.
Cool.
What a time to be a hockey fan.
What a time to be a hockey fan. So I guess until next time, stick taps and sellies, boys.
That's right. And